Hello, Grand Connection friends. It's Susan here at the Grand Connection podcast, and I'm super excited. I have a surprise partway through, so stay tuned. Today, we are exploring one of the simplest and most powerful tools in the Grand Connection ecosystem, your grand intro. This is your clear, warm, and memorable way of sharing how you provide value to your clients. And why does this matter so much? Inside the Grand Connection, and anywhere you love to network, people want to understand you quickly. You want to have a memorable introduction that's clear and concise. When intros get too long or too detailed, minds drift. This isn't personal, it's just how our brains work. When we keep things short and clear, it's easier for others to remember us, support us, and connect. And you're probably wondering what makes a grand intro grand. Because remember, everything's grand around here. Your grand intro should be clear, short, heart-centered, easy for others to repeat, and focused on the people you serve and the transformation you create. Now, I'm going to give you a formula. But also, we don't want to make it too long. Remember that. People tune out. And I'm just going to share a little bit on why our brains tune out. There's a neuroscience reason for this. Our brain's attention system can only hold a little at a time. When someone shares too many details, our working memory gets overloaded and the mind naturally drifts. Short, simple statements are easier for the brain to store, process, and recall. You're going to actually hear more about this in an upcoming interview series with Ray McCauley. She's a neurocoach, and she's the trainer for our Neuroscience of Connection Self-Mastery program. In this series, Ray is going to be introduced from another Grand Connection member, Jeff Ostroff, and he is an interview coach who brings out insights from every guest. So it's going to be a fabulous interview. And together they're going to explore, among many other things, why clarity and brevity matter so much for real connection. And there's many formulas for doing intros, and we're going to go through some of them later. We also have an AI assistant and workbook for memorable introductions in our Grand Growth Bundle. You can get that for free at grandconnection.ca/gifts. We demonstrated at our events a simple formula that works really well, and it's easy for new guests to use. And we're going to talk about this one today. This is how it goes. There's 3 parts. The first part is who you serve. The second is the transformation. And the third is your unique value or superpower. And if you have a little more time, you can put in a credibility statement. Some ways that makes people learn a little bit and trust you more. Back to 1, who you serve. That's your audience, right? Make it simple so people can instantly picture who you help. For 2, the transformation. Sometimes it's hard to think this through, and you need to actually think through what's the problem that somebody has, what's your solution, and how do you help them solve that problem? And then where do they end up afterwards? What are the results, those financial results? There may be some other measurable results, or it's a change in something about yourself, like you're going from overwhelm to calm. Think through what those are and play around with it. Then you want to think about your unique value or superpower. That's a short phrase that builds trust, like a signature approach for the credibility side. So what is it that's really unique, and what's your secret sauce? One of the exercises we do at our member mingles often in the breakouts is share your superpower. Or if you were a superhero, what would be your superpower? It's kind of fun. We have a lot of fun with that one. Here's an easy model. You can go, hi, I'm your name, then say your title, role, or business, and then from what location. We always like to say where we're from in the introductions that we do at our events, because that allows someone to actually know where you are. They might have been there, but it's a way to connect. Maybe they got a cousin there, or they're going there later on, but it's a way that, you have a connection with that person that is based on something that's personal. That's kind of fun. Then you go on to I help your audience with the transformation you create. So this is the problem you solve, the meaningful result, through your unique value or superpower. Then if there's time, add on their credibility statement. So this is also in the workbook. You will be able to find this in the Grand Growth Bundle. But I'm going to just share you mine right now because sometimes it's easier to play with it when you can see it in writing. Here's mine. Hi, I'm Susan Jarima from Vancouver. I help heart-centered entrepreneurs achieve grand growth by connecting them with the right people to collaborate with. I've been supporting entrepreneurs to gain visibility for over 30 years. That's one of the versions I use. Another thing that's nice is to add in your grand ask and at the end. We're going to talk about this more in later episodes because it's so important to figure out and have clarity around who you want to meet. And a lot of times when you first get started, you're not quite sure and you say, "I want to meet everybody." Well, if you hear that from somebody else, put yourself in the other person's shoes. It's pretty hard for you to think about a specific person you want to introduce you to when it's everybody. For now, I usually like to do something like, I'd love to meet or collaborate with someone whose clients are also looking for this transformation. Here's mine. I'd love to meet leaders, trainers, and people with tools that help entrepreneurs thrive who are open to collaboration, specifically for our mixers. I'm very specific in the people. And sometimes I'll even go into even more specific, like what industries they should be in. And I change my grand ask. Business is changing this month. You might have a certain goal and you're trying to make that happen. And a grand ask can also be, I'm looking for resources. I need a VA, right? I'm looking for somebody that's really good with social media, and I would like to find a VA support that could work these hours. The more specific you are, the easier it is for people to find that perfect person for you. And it also gets them thinking more readily in their mind who they may know. I'll put it all together in one. Hi, I'm Susan Jarima, Chief Connection Officer at the Grand Connection, where we help heart-centered entrepreneurs achieve grand growth through meaningful connection and collaboration within our ecosystem. And yes, we actually have a lot of fun along the way. I'm looking for JV partners who'd love to collaborate. I'd love to explore something grand together. Now, I think that one was about 30 seconds. Another important thing is, when you're putting together your grand ask before your first virtual networking event, if this is your first time yourself. Remember to be short and sweet. It's always better actually to be a little bit less than the time they're going to give you because somehow things seem to go longer than you think. And then I also have some really short ones because often people will say, "Oh, give me a quick intro somewhere." And you know that they mean under 20 seconds. This one would be something like this. Hi, I'm Susan from Vancouver. I'm the Chief Connection Officer at the Grand Connection, where we help heart-centered entrepreneurs achieve growth through collaboration. Interested? I got a free pass and I'm going to put it in the chat. Something like that. What's really important to think about too is having that link of something that you can give as a call to action. Always have something. We're going to have another episode on lead magnets and the importance of having something that you can give people that's of value and how to do a valuable lead magnet. But for now, just keep that in mind. What can you connect with people? Maybe it's, I have a 20-minute discovery session. Love to talk to you more about that. Sign up here. Here's my calendar. Just pop it in the chat. Now, here's the surprise. We have recorded from our last mixer and member mingle some grand intros from our members. And you're going to be able to meet them, which is exciting, and get some ideas for your own grand intro. And you might even hear somebody that resonates with you and you think, "Hey, I want to collaborate with this person." Well, it's very easy. Go to grandconnection.ca, grab a guest pass, come to an event, and start meeting people. Our grand host from the last event, Steve Brossman, he was the MC, is known for helping clients and organizations create their human leverage factor. You're going to learn more about that later on as well. And he gives his intro and shares some tips himself, and he is going to be moderating this section. Welcome, Steve.
Steve Brossman here from Down Under, known as the sales innovator and the creator of Pod Guest Profits. I've recently teamed up with somebody that I met in a breakout room, a mate of mine who does speaker booking and pod guest booking. To date, he's submitted over 50,000 submissions for speakers and podcast guests. Together, we have created Booked and Bankable. If you're having trouble getting booked, then he will be able to take care of all of that. If you're having trouble monetizing your efforts on podcasts and speaking, then I'm going to take care of that. If you want to get seen, get known, and get paid, we've got a free workshop coming up. Be my guest. I'm going to put the details in the chat. Come along, learn the secrets to getting known, getting seen, and getting paid, because most people don't.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm a LinkedIn 360 Brew specialist. I create unmatched LinkedIn outcomes through dynamic strategies using LinkedIn profile optimization, AI feed drivers that amplifies who you are, what you do, and who you do it for.
I'm Kathy Holt, and I'm a women's leadership and performance coach, international speaker, and best-selling author. I guide women to lead by not reacting to the world around them, but to start intentionally shaping it. And that's what I call the zone of greatest influence. It's a place where their values, strengths, and purpose meet, and where their leadership becomes undeniable.
Hi, everybody. I am Jessica Koch, and I love the Grand Connection family. I am located in Solomon's Island, Maryland. I am the Italian mother of seven kids and nine grandkids. And I really want to continue to help and support authors, coaches, and speakers, and online course creators, and legacy creators to take their knowledge and their expertise and help them touch, inspire lives, creating legacy now and for the future. So just imagine 100 years from now, someone picking up a book that Crystal wrote and being inspired or comforted or supported, and someone checking out a video that Laura helped produce. Right? There's so many family members in the Grand Connection resource that are tapping into, or someone being able to see the history of their photos and share that because Andrew helped them save them and preserve them, and they pass that knowledge on. Creating history is huge. My grand ask is, if you know those kinds of people, I want to feature a spotlight on them in a community of legacy creators with our podcast, Profound Professionals. It's run 9 years and interviewed over 1,000 guests globally and reaches over 80,000. And with our Legacy Gratitude Summit that will live on long after the summit is over, because we are going to have that resource networking community talking about generational wealth and inspiring others for years to come. I'm a proud Grand Connection member from the very early days, and you're not getting rid of me anytime soon. Thank you so much. I'm Jessica Koch.
My name is Caitlin Harrison. I help boutique law firms turn their stagnant websites into clear, modern sites that not only reflect the caliber of their work, but earn trust from potential clients from the very first click. With 20 years of design experience, I guide them through each step with ease and clarity.
Hello, I'm Crystal Hill, based in Brisbane, Australia, and I help coaches, consultants, and intuitives to write and publish their brand books. I help them to overcome the confusion, the overwhelm, the procrastination, perfectionism, and self-doubt, bring them into momentum and movement so that they can transform. That's the transformation I provide, transform from just being a coach or a healer into a thought leader that has claimed their story and embodied their story so that they can share it with more charisma and embodiment. And the grand ask I have is to connect with podcast hosts and speaking coaches who have the people that want to write and share their story in a deeper way and create the legacy with a book and capture it in a book. Thank you.
I'm Greg Dixon, Shared Visions Unlimited. I help capture and preserve family and personal stories while you still can. I urge people during this holiday season to, if possible, get their family or loved ones' stories. You can record it with anything you've got, a camera, your phone, whatever it is, because many of the people you're going to meet with this Christmas season will not be available to tell their story next year. So there's a kind of urgency to it. And if you want help on some strategies about how to do it and how to publish it later, how to share it, let me know.
So my name's Gracie from Boomerang Inc. I help business owners and founders build strong teams that stay, perform, and move the needle. I do this by pairing them with vetted, seasoned talent, a tight screening process that saves time and protects their business. If you want someone who understands the work, the numbers, and the urgency, I'm your person.
Hi, I'm Laura Doman. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am the shameless hussy of on-camera confidence. So what does that mean? Well, I used to be a former sales exec, kind of boring, and I went from corporate to creative. And now I'm an actor for film, TV commercials, and a voice actor. But what I really enjoy doing is helping business owners, executives, entrepreneurs get better on camera yourself. Because face it, videos, Zoom meetings, presentations, You want those interviews to be interviewed on television? You need to get camera confident. So I help you get comfortable on camera. Confident, charismatic, and I throw in a bunch of little acting techniques that you probably haven't heard anywhere else. Anyways, you can find me at lauradoman.com. But what I have for my grand ask is to be able to work with you. I love to be a resource to your community because almost everybody has to present themselves better and break through that fourth wall and have a one-to-one conversation through the camera. So let's just talk about how we might be able to do that. And I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Wasn't that grand? And it was so much fun to meet some of the community, right? I welcome you listeners to come out to an event, meet everybody, and I can't wait to hear your grand intro. Before we close, I want to speak to something that almost everyone feels but rarely says out loud. Many people are nervous, unsure, or uncomfortable introducing themselves. And I've been there too. I used to be very nervous introducing myself in front of lots of people. I used to not sleep the night before our big events. And I still get nervous when there's more than 100 people on a Zoom call. When I first started running virtual events, I blundered my way through Zoom. I wasn't sure how to use the chat, how to grab a calendar link quickly, or even where to click sometimes. So if you've ever felt that way too, or maybe you're feeling that way right now, just know that other people have gone through that journey and you can learn and get better very quickly. And these are some of the common fears that I hear people talk about as they learn to get through them. There's one member that actually said, I don't want to come because I can't figure out how to use Zoom properly. And everybody else has really good intros and puts stuff in the chat, and I don't know how to do that. This is something you can learn, and working with someone in the community or coming to one of our onboarding calls, we can go through how to set up your calendar, getting that going, or figuring out how to use the Zoom chat. There's lots of resources out there. And once you know what you're afraid of and you start asking for help, there is support around you to help you. Another one is fear of talking too much and boring everyone. Everyone's heard that person, slightly enthusiastic, who shares their whole life story. Their heart's in the right place, but they lose people because their message isn't clear. You don't want to be them. And just understanding that those are your fears, you can learn and practice and think through, how can I have a concise introduction, and be aware of it. Fear of not being understood. You want to make sure that when you explain what you do, people actually understand what you do. And this is practice to get some of these things together. And that's why when you go out and practice and network and you're part of a community, you get to practice over and over again and get feedback from people. And when you do a one-on-one, you can ask them and say, hey, how does this introduction resonate with you? Does it make sense? At our mini meets, we actually have time where we get in a small group and ask specific questions. We introduce each other and try to learn how to refer each other. And by doing that, with all the questions, you start to learn, oh, this is what they don't understand. I need to make this more clear. Another one is the fear of being forgettable. You hear others that their intros are really generic. They don't stand out. You've forgotten about them 20 minutes later. So how can you overcome that? These fears are all completely normal and they're easy to solve. And the nice thing about virtual networking is, you can have some notes. Prepare a little bit before the event and put something together. You know what the format is. You know you're going to have 20 to 30 seconds to do an intro, and then you got 20 or 30 seconds for your grand ask. Have them prepared and be ready for it. And then you're able to set yourself up for success. We'll also be sharing a lot in later episodes on presentation skills too, and how to set up your tech for better connection on Zoom, how to make sure that you have the right settings in your Zoom, how to use your microphone. These are all things that are available to you now in the Learning Library or as part of the process as you come through the community. And I have 3 quick tips to overcome fear as we end this episode. The first one, start small. Practice your grand intro with one person or in a breakout. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. Second, track your wins. Write down every positive moment, a smile, a connection, a follow-up, a new friend. These small wins build confidence fast. And 3, get support. Community changes everything. When you practice in a supportive space, your confidence grows and your message becomes clearer. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be willing. And remember, you can play around with your intro too. The formula we went through today is just one approach. It's a great start, but your grand intro should sound like you. Let it evolve as you grow and connect. And it's going to change, just like you change, just like your business changes, just like the world changes. There's a lot of people that have added AI into their intros now. If you want extra support, as a reminder, the Grand Growth Bundle includes our Grand Intro Workbook, our AI assistant to help you refine your message, and a lot of other things. So you can grab it again, grandconnection.ca/gifts. In closing, your grand intro is your invitation to new relationships. Keep it short, keep it warm, keep it you. And remember, one meaningful conversation can spark collaboration and grand growth. Until next time, connect, create, and collaborate. Thank you for joining us on the Grand Connection podcast. If this episode sparked something for you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend looking for a community to support their growth. Before we sign off, today is a grand day to reach out to someone in your own network and reconnect. You never know where one conversation can lead.